Right. Hello, Stefan. Welcome.
Hello,
Right. What's today's game? Arsenal Brentford, of course.
Arsenal Brentford. The
Yeah,
revenge.
the revenge. Yeah. Well, that's true, actually, wasn't it? Um, I don't. Did you blame them opening day of the season for their
No, not
celebrations?
not at all. No,
No.
that was an absolutely brilliant win. First game in the Premier League against the historical club of Arsenal. Caught us completely cold. New players not embedded, few out with COVID. But that doesn't matter. That team that they put out wanted it more, and absolutely
They merited their
they
three
smashed us to bits that day.
their win. Ben White had an inauspicious debut.
Yeah.
But I was a bit miffed, I must admit, with the enthusiasm with which the Sky reporters celebrated with the Brentford fans
Yeah.
after that game. I must be honest.
But it happens. It happens with
Yeah,
all those sorts of narratives with the underdog, doesn't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm kind of distant friends with the Brentford season ticket holder, and he qualifies it as one of the best days of his life. So I'm never going to begrudge that. That's fine. But yes, it was the revenge of the opening days debacle, if you like. Right. So what about team news? No great
Standard
surprises.
again. No. All logical changes. Tomiyasu wasn't ready to come back apparently to the starting lineup, and
Yeah.
Martinelli suspended obviously for that strange one at Wolves.
Yeah. How did you think Cedric did at right back?
He did okay, but it's one of those things. He didn't have a lot to do defensively at all. Brentford were poor in that aspect, and I think the whole team's policy of crossing from wide positions was coming to nothing. Him and Tierney were guilty of that quite a lot, and it wasn't that the balls they were putting in were particularly bad.
No, it's they all look like dangerous crosses.
Yeah,
like
it's just that we didn't have anyone to compete in the air. Their two centre backs, Jansen and I can't remember the name of the other one, were just so tall and so imposing that they dealt with everything pretty.
Do you think it's just oiling the cogs ahead of Dominic Calvert-Lewin next year, or is that he would? If you think of someone like him on the end of those crosses, he's looking at a 30 goal a season striker there, aren't we? But
it's amazing how many Arsenal fans, and someone did it on our minibus on the way home, it's amazing how many Arsenal fans now mention the name Giroud. We need a player like Giroud. Giroud would have done a job, and all those sorts of things are coming out of the woodwork. And it's right, we haven't had a player like Giroud since Giroud.
We shouldn't have sold him. It was his own. It was am I right? I'm like, my memory's not the best. Was it Wenger that sold him?
I don't know. I think it might have been, because the idea was it was a triangular move of Aubameyang coming to us from Dortmund,
right?
Giroud going to Chelsea from us,
right?
And then Batshuayi going from Chelsea to Dortmund. So everyone still had a striker, but the theory was we got the man we wanted and weren't overstocked, and Batshuayi goes on loan. And
Well, there's a question for you. With 20 hindsight, 2020 vision, and so on, would we have been better served to have kept the 60 million, kept Giroud? Because I think Giroud at the same time was agitating for a move because it was, I don't know, was it a World Cup or a Euros?
Yeah,
for France.
It must have been before 2018, so Wenger would have still been there.
Yeah, and he wasn't getting game time. And Wenger actually, puts a lot of store and value or stock in the player, often the player over the club. And he obviously, had a lot of respect for Giroud and allowed him to go on a personal level. But I don't think it served us.
No.
Well, I loved him. I thought he was a fantastic player. I mean, he had his shortcomings, but name a player who doesn't. And you're talking about the top echelon, really. But everyone, And
I think especially as the game's got more and more tactical, players having certain roles and certain skill sets seems to be more important now, rather than a sort of, out and out all rounder. That's why some players just can't play out of position, because they're so drilled in what they do that as soon as you put them somewhere else on the pitch, they look like a fish out of water.
Although we've actually got quite a few players who are, I have a word, I can't think of it, but they're more adaptable, they're more flexible in that sense. But going back to today's game, obviously 3 points, fantastic. And I said in a little clip before on my way to the game, I don't care how the game played out, so long as we got the 3 points. That was the bottom line. It should be the bottom line for every game, obviously. That's what it's all about. But I did notice in the first half, we were kind of not bemoaning, but observing or noticing the fact that both Ødegaard and Emil Smith-Rowe were very wide, and I've seen someone talk about this. They talk about the two triangles on either wing. Yep. With on the left with Tierney, Xhaka and Emil, and on the right Cedric, Ødegaard and Saka. Obviously a very deliberate strategy, a very deliberate point, and it was effective. I've seen on the BBC website, your man Tierney got man of the match.
You really?
On the BBC website, where I think they do like kind of people vote. And I think he's come out just ahead of Smith-Rowe. He's come out on top, Tierney, and he did actually have his most, well, certainly in the first half, and we'll get on to why I keep saying just the first half in a minute. He was his most advanced, I thought. He in that as the first half progressed, I thought he was almost like last season's outlet. Really, he was often getting to the byline, cutting the ball back, crossing the ball in, overlapping as Emil pulled in or Xhaka pulled in, whoever it was that was in possession, and Tierney would bomb on the outside. But that was obviously, I'd not noticed that before. Had you noticed that before, like in previous games?
I'd sort of noticed it. I think it was something that was mentioned about Arteta when he first came, about certain things and like adaptations he'd done with the club. I think it was mentioned because he'd worked quite closely with Sterling, and things like that. So it was certainly a tactic to do. But I also remember that being said of Emery when Emery was there. Their idea of you almost take the pressing and the attack from the opposition, and then you spring forward, and it's those connections down one side or the other that get you up the pitch. And that's fine against a team who are going to come onto you, but Brentford really didn't come onto us.
And that's no. Okay, so Brentford are a high press team. They do press, and that's what unsettled us at their ground on the opening day of the season. They just would not let us give us a second. No. And was it that tactic from Arteta, very obvious today, I noticed more than other games perhaps, that actually put them on? No, so did they come and sit back? Or did we force them back because of how we played? Because we did actually. I mean, the other thing I wanted before the game is like, let's start quickly. Let's start. And we did. We very much started on the front foot. And apart from that one person near us who booed Xhaka's name when he was mentioned, the atmosphere was like really positive, and we were frustrated at various points, but not with the players as such. We know as a fan base, we're acutely aware of where our failings lie at the moment. And I think that's really, it's just an utterly bizarre season for an Arsenal fan, for me anyway, who's kind of lived through quite a few different reincarnations of the team in terms of on the pitch, but also the fan base as well. I can't remember a time where we've had a team with obvious failings, i.e. in attack, but the crowd are on board with that. And they see the effort, they see the determination, that the will is there. And I'm laughing at your cat struggling to get up on the chair behind you.
She's very old and she's trying to act
bless.
Like, and that's a lot like me, to be honest. And I think she's got her paw stuck now, so there we go. She'll figure it out.
Sorry, I was distracted. Anyone who's just listening to this on the podcast is going to be slightly confused about what's going on now. We have a rescue. We have a cat rescue. We have a pet rescue. Cat, is she stuck? Is she getting onto the chair? She's on the chair. No, she's not. She's on the bed. Okay.
Sorry about that.
She'd still be there tomorrow, struggling, I think. Bless her. Right. Okay. Sorry, I've completely lost my thread. No, so it's about how like the crowd. Oh, hang on, that was a bit weird. She just appeared over your shoulder. Right.
The crowd were on our side.
The crowd like were on board. I mean, the frustration was with the referee. Right now, I don't know if you had a chance to see these. There's 2 penalty incidents in the first half.
I've seen nothing. So talking about them live, the tackle in the box, it's the other end of the pitch from us.
Yeah.
I can't see. I don't know. The handball. I just don't. No. I don't understand how that's not a penalty.
We both
where we are. Everyone in the stadium saw that.
Yeah, we've both got glasses on at the moment, so maybe we're not best placed. However, you could see the ball was above the player, and it was blocked by his arm. Now, I have watched it again, and the only thing I can think, and I don't know, maybe you know, I don't know what the rules are governing handball now. I've lost track. Cedric hit it. It hit the player had his back turned, but his arm was up in the air. But it hit his leg or foot first, and then up onto his arm. And that's the only thing we didn't see in the ground. I didn't see that happening in real time.
Not real time.
And that's the only thing I can see that would have. But I didn't see the City one today. But apparently people are saying that the Arsenal one was more obvious than the City one today, and the City one was given. Now, for me, it's still a handball. It should have been a penalty. VR. I mean, but I'm trying to think of some kind of mitigation against or why they didn't.
The fact that it's probably hit his leg first does mitigate why they wouldn't give it. But then, looking at the trajectory of the ball, it's denying a chance, and the arm is up, and all those sorts of things. So that could mitigate it the other way. The City one, we were listening to the radio on the minibus on the way home, and it was interesting because it had happened and they weren't sure. And then as soon as the commentators got the replay, it was just universal. Oh, that's penalty. There you go, give it. So
what would have been interesting?
Ours will be.
I'm looking forward to match of the day later when I'll see although no match of the day, they won't even show it. So
I don't know where we'll be on the running order after all the chaos at the Etihad. Like we might be on quite far down.
Yeah, that's bound to be first. I can't see there was not.
Well, Liverpool came from behind, and they're in the title race, so they'll probably be second.
Yeah.
Watford got a surprise win at Villa,
but only the one goal late on.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I'll stay up anyway. It's the tea for now. I'm back on the wine later. You know, I'm not. What were we saying about the right? No, but I did watch the other penalty. Like you, I agree. I couldn't call the Lacazette one, but it was a penalty.
Right.
He did. It's what he does really well. He just gets in front. It's what Ødegaard didn't do well enough against City to nail on that penalty. Is put your foot. You know the contact's coming. Put your foot in the way.
Yeah.
And Lacazette did it, and it could eat. But I remember I said to you at the time. I said my notion was that Moss was too unsighted, and he was. And he couldn't. I complained about him after about 2 minutes, Moss. And as you know, I complained about him. I said he looked like he was struggling to keep up with play. And I'm sorry, I'm not like shaming people, but he was struggling to keep up with play. However, you did offer.
Well, the little nugget about the fact that I've got a soft spot because he owns his own record store called Vinyl Whistle, which I think is just genius and shows.
Yeah,
a lighter side to him.
I don't want to like him. I really don't. And I'll tell you to the extent I don't want to like him. I've researched him, right? He has no bias against Arsenal. I'm disappointed to report.
Is he from the northeast?
Where's East Riding? Is that like Yorkshire? Like
Yorkshire.
He's from like East Riding area, and he was actually a decent footballer. He was offered a scholarship in America, but turned it down. So he was actually a decent footballer, and I was amazed. I think it was David Ellery when I first saw him try to kick a football and realised he actually couldn't. He had no. I just assumed referees would be decent footballers.
Yeah, people who maybe they were good, got an injury,
or at least played football.
Yeah.
But David, like Ellery, was a schoolmaster, wasn't he? And he clearly had never played football before. He was just a referee because he liked bossing people around. Allegedly, I should add that bit in there. But because you think, you have to play the game, to some degree to understand what a deliberate foul is or what intent, but actually, and Moss has played. So I was like, damn it, okay. Vinyl whistle as well. Oh.
I do love a pun.
He still can't run fast. He still can't keep up with play. I'm sticking with that one. Right, so 0-0 half time. We were frustrated by a combination of, two decisions that went against us, a lack of a clinical striker, perhaps. I don't think we created too many chances, and just frustrated because I turned around to you and I said we cannot have consecutive 0-0 draws at home against Burnley and Brighton. I
think it was going through a lot of people's minds that might be the case, and especially with the wider context of having let Aubameyang go, knowing that Balogun's gone on loan, and what we've got left, Lacazette, is a wonderful trier, and he's obviously giving everything. Yeah, it's probably not enough.
And that was the danger with the transfer window, that the first time we failed to score, that's the prism through which we're going to view this conversation's going. And we played twice since then, and we've won both games 1-0 and 2-1 since the transfer window closed. I had to depart at half time for reasons best left unspoken. But I had to depart at half time. So if only I'd waited to 3 minutes into the second half, I'd have seen my boy Emil score. I have seen the 2 goals. So talk us through the second half anyway. Off
Lovely
you go.
goal. It's one of those things. Like you say, everyone's frustrated, but not to the point where it's starting to turn and become really negative. And I think everyone's fairly confident that Brentford aren't going to pose us too many problems. So it was all about coming out, fast start, and that's exactly what they did. It was almost like Brentford were caught cold. I know I didn't realise, but there was some belief on their side that maybe there was a foul in the lead up to one of the goals.
I read that. Yeah.
Not sure I picked up on much of that. I think the refs this season generally have not been very quick to the whistle on some tackles where previously they would have been. So it might be one of those situations. But anyway, it was interesting because it reminded me of someone once pointed out to me that Chelsea, especially under Mourinho, when Mourinho was at Chelsea, they always beat us in the same way. Draw Arsenal onto you. Then when you win the ball, because they will give you the ball, knock the ball forward diagonally. Hazard or whoever it is will be waiting. And then the striker will run and you'll be able to pick them out and score. Well, we almost did that twice against Brentford today, where, that frustrating play it wide and cross it in the first half suddenly left Smith Rowe, one-on-one with the fullback, and he jinks inside and then curls it lovely into the goal. And then Saka does the same later on when Smith Rowe's gone off. Pepe's come on. Interestingly, Pepe started on the left, but then switched to the right and looked much more effective. And Saka got his goal from the left, so that's an interesting.
Okay, because Saka on the right is the reason that Pepe's not got any minutes.
You wonder, yeah.
So I like that fluidity, flexibility.
I think they've just got to be a bit more fluid. Saka has been on the right and doing well for a long time, but it is very fixed. So I'm wondering if at the same time, the first half, it looked like there was that clear plan of, groups of players on one side, groups of players on the
Yeah.
other. In the second half, it became a bit more flexible, or maybe that was the freedom they were allowed once we got the goal up. But they were brilliant goals, and the elation and the relief, and it was relief. You know,
Yeah.
we're humble enough to know that Brentford can cause us a problem.
Yeah,
They beat it in the opening day, and for Smith Rowe to score it, a good quality goal, celebrating in front of the North Bank, you know, holding the badge, lovely stuff.
Yeah, I must admit,
I did think of you when he was doing that.
Yeah, yeah. He thought I was there. He thought I was there, Stefan. He thought I was there.
He was looking out for you in the crowd. Where is my old English
I could
teacher?
I could see that. I could see that. But as I said, trying to console Indigo walking away, I was like, I don't care. A win. We need the win. You know,
Yeah.
whether we're there or not, it doesn't matter. We're getting the win here. We know this is important. And the wind was blowing such a way that we didn't hear it. We heard nothing. And
Really?
Yeah, so we had no clue until I got back to the car that that we'd actually gone 1-0 up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so keeping true to the song, obviously Saka had to do the business himself. What was I was going to ask him about Emil? And it was nice to see. I noticed that Pepe came on, not Nketiah. That was
At first, yeah, it was Pepe. Yeah, he came.
Yeah.
On. Just, I think it was the idea of a lot of us sort of raised their eyebrows when Smith Rowe was taken off, because to me he was our best player. Because even after he scored, there was another occasion when he had turned in such a way that he basically left the defender and was able to try and cross it, but it was cut out. And he looked like he was going to make something happen. But, you know, we don't know what the fitness levels are. You know, they wear these monitor things all the time. You know, maybe they're aware that he started to drop off a little bit.
And he has had a bit of a recent track record with injuries. And you have got your record signing on the bench. You know, you kind of, if you can't count them for 15 minutes, then, you know, what we're doing. Just back to, I remember what I was going to say or ask you, that flexibility or fluidity across the front with, you know, Pepe on the right, Saka come across the left and doing the business there as well. Do you think it's all kind of, I've read a lot this week about training grounds spies pointing out that Martinelli's doing a lot of training in the number 9 role.
They were also talking about that last season. You know, there were clips of Martinelli in training, essentially doing shooting practice as a centre forward, you know, getting on the end of crosses and things like that. I think he is probably being groomed to be a centre forward, but that kind of modern Man City style false 9 centre forward, you know, he's not going to be the classic Premier League, you know, battler. It's all about us building up our play from the back and working that way.
How old is he?
Martinelli?
Yeah.
Isn't he 20? 20, 21?
Is he 20? Yeah. Where was Henry at 20?
Well, he would have been either at Monaco.
Monaco, wasn't
he?
How old was he when he came to us? Was he 20? Was he 21 or was he older than that?
Can't remember. But yeah, maybe not that old. And maybe it is that thing of, you know, you develop a player in one way that leads on to them succeeding in another. I don't know.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because it would be so difficult to defend against if you've got these players who are so used to playing, like Martinelli's a centre forward, could, you know, he's as adept as a left winger because he's got that experience. Saka can play across the front anywhere. Emil Smith Rowe has played on the right as well as on the left and centrally. I thought Ødegaard, how did Ødegaard play in the second half? Because I was particularly impressed with his energy and kind of creation in the first half. I thought he was our dangerous player in the first half.
Exactly the same, you know, second half, lots of pressing, as well as lots of, again, it's one of these things. I sometimes feel like Saka takes a lot of touches, whereas Ødegaard doesn't seem to. You know, it's a side foot pass here or a little flick there, or it's one touch and then go. He's certainly industrious, and he was, you know, quality second half.
anything else happened in the second half? Was there a penalty, another penalty decision? I think there was a tackle on Pepe or something.
Pepe's jinking around and he's ended up going across the top of the penalty area. A tackle's gone in. How much contact there was, I have no idea. I mean, in real time, yeah, it looks like he's been tripped, but our perspective, just, you have no idea. There wasn't a lot of appeal. I always look at the players on the pitch and how closely they go for it. And we appealed the handball the most out of all of them. So, it is what it is.
I did listen to Arteta's post-match interview. It must be with the BBC again. I don't know who it was with. And he was not happy about the 2 first half penalty decisions.
Right.
He kind of gave them those kind of questions very short shrift. He said, "Look, we won the game." But the interviewer did ask him, so like, did you feel that we should have had 2 penalties? Yeah, absolutely. He was adamant, absolutely. And I did notice his reaction to when VAR came back and it was no penalty for handball. He kind of he just like head in hands, and then he went down and like on his bent knee and was like, I cannot believe it. And again, we're much further away from that handball incident than he is, and I could see it hit his hand. So Arteta's even closer, and to not give it anyway. Sorry, it's not. There's not. It's not a conspiracy. They're not out. They're not all out to get us, except they are. Okay, so we kind of anything else like atmosphere second half? I'm assuming was really good.
Yeah, it was positive. There was an element of, you could tell those that are used to seeing it maybe got a little bit nervy towards the end, but I didn't really feel that at all. I think it was just an element of the fact that they suddenly came alive a little bit. Their biggest spells of possession came after we scored the first goal. And in my head, I was just thinking, it's so funny psychologically that how things shift. So we'd got the goal and therefore almost, stood off and said, there you go. And they then came on, and it just psychologically, there was a complete switch. But that allowed us to, when we won the ball back, to, again, break quickly and try and switch the play back to front as quickly as possible. So almost carried a little bit more threat. It's very bizarre how it works sometimes.
It's like, I don't think, certainly I speak for myself, I don't think I've quite come to terms with the fact that we're very good defensively. Again, I'm struggling with this. I mean, I was brought up on the George Graham defense, so I know what it is to feel completely, I know what it is to feel completely confident that you're not going to concede, and to be completely bored by the quality of football being played out in front of you as well. However, this defense is superb defense.
There was just this element as well in the first half when Brentford did venture into our final third at one moment. A player sort of found himself on the corner of the box, and he either went to sort of cross it or shoot towards the far post. And Gabriel, he knew he couldn't go to ground, so he dropped his knee and sort of blocked. And then, so there's 2 things there. One, that's not how Arsenal centre-backs
That's defend. Not Mustafi. Has he not seen Mustafi? He should be diving. He should
be off his feet, flying through the air, totally out of control. And what's going on? And then what I really liked as well, it's as much as, players are putting in a tackle, but then the sort of auxiliary players are then mopping up.
Yeah.
There's a player coming in to get the ball that breaks free and then try and deliver off. So it's not a player working. There is a unit there. And everyone is kind of switched on as much as they can be. There's the odd pass that goes awry, and then there's the odd sort of moment where we might get caught a little bit further forward than we need to be. But people come back. People, understand that they've got a responsibility, and it is very disconcerting.
Yeah, there's no like that panic last ditch. We got away with that one. I mean, there might have been to a degree. The last 5-10 minutes at Molineux, because we were down to 10 men, I guess there's an element there, which is fair, backs to the wall.
But that's backs to the wall. It's the cliche we always say, but it's absolutely right.
And we can do that as well, which is good. But we can actually control our defending as well, which is, again, it's going to, the team will just have to have patience with some of us older fans who are not quite, not honestly. We need more evidence but the body of evidence is growing, so that's good. And then they got that goal really late on, which is a shame for the clean sheet going.
Yeah, that would have been 12.
And it was, I think it was onside from what I've gathered. I haven't
Again, it's the other end of the field. We've got no idea. I mean, what's disappointing in that instance is just how long it takes, because it was so near the end of the game as well. It was almost, you know, it sort of flattened the end of the game, where you could have, for the spectacle, I'm not saying I wanted it, but for the spectacle, you know, Brentford to have another go was kind of wiped out because they spent so long looking at the decision. You know, we had a kick-off. I think they did end up winning the ball back and then trying to venture forward, but Moss fairly quickly blew the whistle, and it was all kind of like, oh, okay, it's over. And then, you know, we just sort of...
Hang on a minute. Are you saying that you wanted...
No, I'm saying I didn't want that. I'm just saying that actually, you know, it's just further evidence that VAR does change the spectacle and the nature of watching it. And of course, you know, in the stadium, we get a screen that says checking for offside, but we can't see it. We're not at home getting the full view of what's going on. So we can't even debate it. We can't even discuss it. We can't.
And actually, for the Lacazette disallowed goal, the game had continued, and the big screen was still saying checking.
Yeah. So there's an element there as well, isn't it?
Go on, sorry.
They've always said that VAR, you know, the play will continue until the game comes to a natural pause. So, I don't know. It feels a bit flat.
I think Lacazette was definitely onside. I think it was the player before him in receipt of the ball was offside. But I haven't seen that one. I have seen the still where Lacazette is clearly onside, so it's not him that's offside. It came up on the screen in the ground that Xhaka was offside, but I'm pretty sure it was Tierney who put the ball across for him. But whoever that was offside anyway. No, so you go on then. Talk us through how Spurs have ruined your day.
I was going to say, are we going to talk about Spurs again? The psychology of the football fan is just ridiculous. You know, we've gone down. I haven't been to a game since, what would it have been? It would have been Burnley, wouldn't it? Yeah, it would have been Burnley, which was a bit of a flat experience. But I haven't had that enjoyment of going out and seeing friends and doing all that kind of stuff. So we're going down there having a lovely day. Yeah, the weather's a bit shit, but that's winter for you. And then, you know, we put in a good performance. You know, the atmosphere is positive. It's pretty good. We get the 3 points, so we're all buzzing.
West Ham have dropped points.
West Ham have dropped points. Yeah, all good. Yeah. And then, you know, we're listening to Spurs Man City on the radio, and it just sounded like chaos. It sounded like City maybe took them for granted a little bit. I didn't watch, obviously we only had the radio, so I have no idea about a lot of the decisions. And again, it's that thing of, the reason I love going to games is because I can watch it and see it for myself. Whereas when you listen on the radio, the way the commentators were colouring it, it's, again, they flip-flop so much. You know, when Spurs go one up, they're talking about, dogged determination, behind the manager, you know, taking City by surprise. When City equalise, I see, this is why they're unbeaten. They go on a really long run. You know, their quality will shine through in the end. Well, then obviously Spurs go and win, and it's like, you know, Conte, he's got something there with this team. And it's like, you weren't saying that 5 minutes ago when you were talking about the fact that they'd lost the last 3 and looked all at sea. You know, they've got it up for a big team who are probably turning into a bit of a bogey side for.
Yeah, no, absolutely, yeah.
As well. And, you know, City have basically, you know, just underperformed. I don't know,
see, the thing is, that's the funny thing. City were a frustration today. There's no question. I watched most of it, but they absolutely dominated it.
Right.
It was that frustration about City, that kind of, they pass you to death. But actually, they were creating really dangerous moments. Lloris made some really good saves.
Right.
Like I was thinking that, I have to deliberately. The only reason City equalised was because I left the room. Because I was obviously a bad luck omen for them. And as soon as I left the room, Lloris makes a howler and Gundogan scores. And at that point, I was absolutely confident that City would go on and win comfortably. And then I come in and I go, what? It's 2-1? How has this happened? So Spurs, you're not, City are the only team that's going to dominate you like, no one's going to dominate possession against you like City do. And Spurs are just well set up for that. They had Kulusevski and Son and Kane. Kane dropping deep, and he had 2 runners now, not just the one. And it works a treat for them. I think at one point, the first 10 minutes of the second half, City had 90% possession. I've never seen that before. 10 minutes, not 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And at one point in the first half, they flashed up a stat that from the start of the game, maybe 30 minutes, 35 minutes, I don't know, that City had 30 passes into the opposition penalty box. Spurs had 1 and scored it.
But there's only one stat that matters.
Yes, no, City lost the game 3-2, and the title's wide. In theory, the title is in Liverpool's hands now.
This is another thing the commentator said. I think it was Mickey Gray on TalkSport sort of said, this will be a result that's enjoyed all across the country because now we've got a title race. And everyone on the bus went, no.
No, sorry.
Again, the mindset of football fans is we're all Arsenal fans on the minibus. We're all pretty much season ticket holders. We're all the loonies who go to all the games. And, we have that tribalism that's so ingrained in us that we can be driving home from a victory and listen to our, nearest neighbours beating another strong team, and everyone's completely deflated, like we've lost the game, and
it's pointless. Give up.
Exactly. Where does that come from? We should, but you lose the perspective because you're so ingrained.
I just think I think the answer to that one today is the context. It's the hope that kills you. We just all assumed City would beat Spurs.
So did City.
So did City, and their life the problem, perhaps. But because we all assumed it, the fact it didn't happen is even more galling. It's more like, what? What? I'm angry.
Yeah.
It's like, but we are
Takes
still
your belief system.
But we are still like, I just had a quick look at Spurs' next few fixtures, and they're not easy. Actually, I've looked at all of Spurs fixtures to the end of the season, and we're not in it yet because it's not been scheduled.
Right.
You could look at every single one, maybe bar 1 or 2 of Spurs' remaining fixtures, and think, they could drop points there. So the next 2 games are, oh crap. Away to Leeds is the second one, and there's away to someone else first.
Right.
And you're thinking like, no, who's it away to? I can't remember. I'm thinking like, and it kind of relaxed me a little bit. And I thought straight after that, well, hang on a minute, look, would I swap? So let's take it. We've got West Ham, we've got Manchester United, we've got West Ham, we've got Spurs, and we've got Wolves. All right, we've got 5 teams or 4 other teams vying with us for 4th spot. Chelsea with their last minute winner, they're gone. Right. So we've got 4 other teams vying with us for 4th spot. Would you swap with any of those teams now? Arsenal's position.
I always want points on the board, but you can look at it either way because there's different factors, isn't there? There's the points on the board, there's the games in hand, and then there's the fixtures that are remaining. Because I'm not of all these. I hope overheard people today talking about all these games in hand, win those, and it's in our hands. Those games in hand are Chelsea, Liverpool, Spurs.
Oh no. Wolves at home on Thursday is our first game in hand. That's a rearranged one. So, but you're right. The other ones are because the Liverpool one hasn't happened yet.
Okay.
Because the Liverpool one is the Carling Cup final,
which is next week.
Yes, February. Yes, so it must be next weekend. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So, so that's why. So the Wolves get, but you're absolutely right. Those games in hand are. But I still wouldn't swap places with any. Let me get this right. We're level on points with West Ham with 3 games in hand. We're 1 point behind United with 2 games in hand. We've got to play United as well. So we have to play West
Ham have both got Europe.
Yeah. And Spurs play West Ham in a few weeks' time as well. And Spurs play United in a few weeks' time as well. So I'm like...
Well, we must play all 4 then at some point.
I can't remember the second game. We must have to go to the London Stadium still. I know we play United at home.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Right. So
we've got to
Wolves,
go West Ham away. We've got to host. We've got to go to Spurs away. We've got to host Wolves and Man United.
yeah, and we have to host Liverpool and we have to go to Chelsea.
Yeah, but it's going to be more important. Beat the teams around us.
Yeah.
That's huge.
I
But
know. So Thursday's big.
From those 4 games, I don't see maximum points.
Oh, of course not.
I don't see it.
But
I don't know in what combination.
I always say this. Like, would you rather 4 points from 4 draws or 6 points from 2 wins and 2 defeats?
Wins.
Yeah, it depends on who they're against, I guess. But
draws don't tell you anything. But
the thing is, though, the 2 defeats, we could be giving away 3 points to the teams that finish above us. Ultimately, it's I don't know. I wouldn't be too. I wouldn't swap. But from our position, I would like a striker, but they're nicely spaced out, the games. Apart from, well, we still got 2 of them to be penciled in. But at the moment, they're nicely spaced out. Apart from that one we talked about today, the Liverpool game. Hang on, was that right there? The Liverpool home game is on like a Wednesday evening.
And then now March 16th, I think. And
then Villa away is 12:30 kickoff on the Saturday morning. But at least the Liverpool game's at home, and the game the previous weekend is also at home. I can't remember who that's against. And Villa had a very
Leicester,
bad.
I think that's my next game, Leicester.
And Villa had a bad result today. Losing at home to Watford is not. I wonder, is Martinez blaming Arsenal for that one? How is he? How is it our fault? I don't know. Was he even playing? It wasn't a mistake. I've no idea.
No idea.
Right. So, we talked about like doing like 3 takeaways from the game. So, do you want to have I'm just kind of springing this on you now. 3 takeaways from the game. I've written 3 takeaways down, but I will see anything that springs to mind.
Just based
on like the game itself, the sense that being at the game, the sense like kind of driving away from the game, whatever.
I think the first one then overall, given the whole day, is the tension surrounding how the season is going to play out, and knowing that the longer it goes on and the closer it gets, every game takes on even more importance. And not just our games, the games of our rivals as well. We were laughing about how last weekend, West Ham, Spurs and United all dropped points. And we didn't expect that to happen at all.
No.
And it all felt really good.
Yep.
And then today, we go into play a newly promoted side who are on a run of defeats. I know they beat us earlier in the season, but sometimes timing is key. And then Spurs are playing Man City, and the same thing. They're on a poor run of defeat. We assume those points are coming to us, and the fact that they won just adds this ball of tension inside, and it's so frustrating. And in the last few years, I've chilled out so much watching football and just enjoying the experience. And I don't know why. I think it's being out of Europe and wanting us to get back, and I want this team to do so well, because they're so good and they're so easy to like and support.
But we're fine. Oh, hang on. I'm going to say that. Hang on. No, I can't say that. That's one of my takeaways. I'm going to wait.
Okay.
No, but you're absolutely right. It is. But isn't it? But I'm enjoying it as well. This is ridiculous because I'm the type of person, if I'm watching the game, an Arsenal game at home and it's 0-0, I'm all right. The second we go 1-0 up, I'm a bag of nerves. I'm all over the place. I'm pausing it. I'm walking out. I'm going for a run. I'm thinking, I'll mark a set of books. I'll do anything if it avoids watching this game live now and having my mood, my fate determined by, a bunch of relative strangers. But I'm actually enjoying this because every day has a game that's got something in it for us. So like tomorrow, we're all Leeds tomorrow. It's
massively.
Yeah, so that's
and
tomorrow.
Leicester against Wolves as well.
Oh, is that tomorrow as well?
I think so, yeah.
Right. So, yeah, a good couple of red cards for Wolves players would be nice. Neves and Cody after their celebration police comments last week. Any other takeaways?
Only that I do worry about the spine of the team a little bit in midfield and up front. You know, we know the defense is fairly solid and reliable, which feels wrong. But yeah, you know, we talked about those combinations out wide, but it just leaves a gaping sort of, you know, weak middle, it felt. Because normally, like, as much as I know Lacazette should score more, he's not prolific enough. That is the bottom line, and I get that. But you can excuse, you know, he puts in the effort, and, you know, his link-up play.
Oh, we've got a connection problem. Oh no, where are we? We have a connection problem. I don't know. I'm going to have to message Stefan to see if he can hear me. Oh. Right, I'm going to be fascinated. Those thousands of people who will end up watching this, I'll have to see what happened there, because it still says it's recording. So I'm curious as to know. I was just knocked off and it just reconnected again.
Right.
This happened. I think it's because
it'll just be me talking by myself.
Yeah, well, that's probably better. That's better for all of us, probably. I reckon it's because we've got at least one baby monitor, and it interferes with the connection. Yeah, who knows? Sorry, Lacazette. You were talking about Lacazette, and you might end up repeating this.
That's fine. Yeah, the other takeaway is how light we are in the middle of the pitch if we're building those combinations wide, because normally Lacazette's team is good. He doesn't score enough goals, bottom line, we know that, but his team play is good and his effort is generally good. Whereas today felt like the first time I felt that was maybe a little step below. You know, if something was going to happen, it was going to be from Saka, it was going to be from Smith Rowe, it was going to be from Odegaard. Lacazette, I felt like I don't know, I don't want to say out of his depth.
Which is interesting, because he was onside when he scored his goal. He did his bit well, and he should have won a penalty. Like, not his fault. The refereeing decision went against him, and that's just in the first half. I can't speak for the second half, but no, I agree. I mean, I think that may be why Martinelli's been kind of rumored to be hitting that number 9 slot. But there's an interesting point. Does Martinelli start against Wolves?
I suppose it depends on the fitness of players, but
everyone's fit.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? If I was to predict Arteta, I don't think he'll change it.
I don't think he should.
I don't think he should. I think Smith Rowe deserves his start after today, and why not?
Yeah, and Smith Rowe is a form player. You know, he gets a momentum player rather. He's went to that spell like he's scored pretty much every game, even as a substitute. He kept coming on and scoring. I was reading this evening, actually, he's the first academy player to hit 10 goals in a season since.
Academy player?
Yeah.
That's not Fabregas.
Yes, it is. Yeah, well done.
Is it?
Well done.
Bloody hell.
Yeah.
That feels like a long time ago.
Yeah. So fair play the boy.
18 years.
So that's impressive. What else was I going to say? Yeah, so
I was just thinking.
Go on.
I'm sorry. I was thinking today, because I noticed obviously Ben White is playing in number 4, which Fabregas obviously played in, and he's probably the best number 4 we've had since Fabregas as well. He's just he's brilliant. I mean, like I said, look, this is a team. It's very easy to like. Yeah.
It's very easy to get behind. They look like they care. Oh no, you have to tell me about this. Xhaka not taking the armband. I didn't see it, but people make a big deal online about this.
And it probably isn't a big deal, because given the way the fan base treats him and thinks of him, I can understand why he'd go, I don't know that.
Yeah.
But it was funny because Eddie Nketiah came on, Lacazette went off, gave Eddie the band, who was supposed to pass it on to Xhaka. And Eddie's going, there you go. And Xhaka's, no. And Eddie was doing that thing. He was just sort of holding it, going, so what do I do now? Even started walking over to the bench, and the bench are like, just get on the bloody pitch. No one cares.
So Tierney took it. Did Tierney take it?
I don't know in the end, because they just all got on with it. It was funny because it was very noticeable that he refused it. But I don't care.
No, I don't care either. And I was just curious, I wasn't there, so I didn't see it. So I didn't know whether a crowd had reacted to it or anything like that.
No, I mean, they certainly didn't around us. I can imagine, maybe if on that side, maybe nearby, they would have picked up on it, but I didn't hear any rumbling.
But Jack is going to jack us, so
exactly.
That's all.
He was
good.
Probably annoyed because he hadn't got a yellow card up to that point.
Yeah, so that was that. Right. Okay. So my 3 takeaways really quickly, because I know you're keen to get cracking on the boxing, and you got about 3 minutes. An early goal is crucial for this team.
Oh, God, yeah.
I think that's. I mean, it's not great. I didn't say these takeaways were it kind of insightful.
Like a fast food takeaway.
Yeah. No. And if you think that was prescient of me, wait till you hear this one. Refs aren't going to give us anything. That's
okay.
That's my takeaway from today. Again, it's not.
Yeah.
It's apart from the potential foul in the build up to the first goal, and I haven't seen it. Every decision, every 50-50 or big decision went against us today, and that's pretty. That's noteworthy in the context of what's happening in the wider season so far.
Well, then, to put that to the test, I find it very difficult because it's so hard not to wear the Arsenal blinkers.
Yeah.
So I think tomorrow, because I'll be supporting Leeds, I will see if I feel the ref is being kindly to Leeds or not.
To the big team.
Yeah, and then maybe in the Leicester game, I might reverse it because I would prefer Leicester to take points off Wolves.
Yeah.
I'll actually follow Wolves, and I'll see if Wolves feel like they're hardened by maybe. I don't know.
Where's that Leicester game?
About perception.
Yeah. Where's the Leicester Wolves game?
It just feels like it's all about your perspective. That'll be 4:30, won't it? I'm sure the United Leeds one is early.
Where is it? Where is it? Is it at Leicester or Wolves?
I don't know.
All right. And my final takeaway, and it nice to leave us on a positive note, is that what I've noticed about this team, and you mentioned it, you alluded to it earlier, is that they're developing a knack of knowing how to win. Mm-hmm. We're winning. We're not winning 3-4-0 at the moment. We don't need to. But we are backs against the wall, 1-0 down to 10 men away to Wolves. Very difficult place to go and get a result. Brentford at home, where they basically just did not attack, did not come forward. The goalkeeper was time wasting from 15 minutes. But we found a way. We actually, and it was, from what you were saying, second half in particular, it's quite a comfortable win. I didn't feel comfortable not watching it. I was like, Indigo was constantly refreshing my William Hill page because it's the quickest access to the score. And I was like, every time it was buffering, I'm thinking like, oh, is it still 1-0? Is it still 1-0? But you were a lot calmer in the grounds.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Me and the guy next to me as well, the young lad who's there for this season, we were sort of chatting when we were 1-0 up, and he said, I'm surprised at how like calmly we're chatting, given that we're only 1-0 up.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, there you go.
But that's the defence and the fact that Brentford didn't attack at all, really. Apart from that Gabriel block you talked about, which could have been dangerous because it was 1-on-1. That was why he was the last man, and it got past him, and that was a clear strike at goal, or the ball itself was heading into the bottom corner. It was a really impressive bit of defending from where we were stood. But anyway, so they're my 3 takeaways.
Shades of George Graham's Arsenal early in his tenure, with a young team that will battle for narrow victories. And
1-0 to the Arsenal. Got rid of a couple of big name players. Was it Graham Ricks went, Charlie Nicholas went. Did Steve Williams come in or did he go? I think he went. And like people like obviously Dixon and Bold came in from Stoke, and
Perry Groves.
Yeah, Perry Groves. Who Kevin Richardson? Where's Kevin Richardson now? Where's like integral to that?
Where's his statue?
Yeah, well, integral to that. That 1989 game. Oh my God, he stopped John Barnes.
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
from attacking and scoring. But anyway, look at the time. You got a dash. Brilliant. We'll catch up after on
Leicester,
Thursday.
yeah.
On Thursday, Wolves
well,
game.
yeah. Speak to you on Thursday, and then see you for the Leicester game. I think.
Yeah, when's the Leicester game?
Oh, like second week in March. I've got another 3 weeks off before my next game.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Yeah, same. I'm not going on Thursday either. So anyway, look, enjoy your boxing. I'll go enjoy match of the day. Well, not the Spurs bit, but anyway.
No, maybe just pause that and then skip over.
All right. See ya. Take care.
Take it easy.
Bye.
Bye.